Okay, now we should be back now, so apologies for the delays. I've had a couple of technical issues which caused my computer to hard reset. Sadly, this happens to be the one time that it happens to happen, but yes. Dan, could you please fill us in? Certainly know that pit stops have been taking place, but yeah, could you fill us in, please?
Yeah, definitely. So we've had a few little excursions for a few guys tonight. We've had some great passing all around. We've still got current leaders in class of Blake Neck and Simon Mazzomo. In our GTE field, Sven Haase leading the way over Ronnie Nunez and Alex Quart. And in the GT3 field, when I pull that up, we've got who we got here? Fritz Zelm leading the way in his Mercedes over Joachim Logren and Marco Poltani. So we've had some pretty good racing all around from the guys. Looks like everyone's now come down the lane for their pit stops with just on 15 minutes to go. The field itself is quite spread out now as a result of all those stops. There's a lot of space between these competitors. I think the closest battle that we've got on track at the moment is actually a change with some GTE field cars coming back through, and that's in 13th outright. So Julian Villarant making his way past some slightly slower traffic down towards Arnage at the moment. So these guys are coming back after their respective pit stops. But all in all, racing has been pretty good from all the guys. There's a couple of little niggles and bumps earlier on in the piece, but nothing too serious. It looks like everyone's been able to continue on.
Yeah, certainly. Just getting all of my timing screens back up and running. You see that, yeah, as you say, Alan Day getting his overall position taken away from him by the looks of it at the moment, but having to settle in behind Porsche curves, Villaret and Day making their way through the first part of the Porsche curves. But yeah, won't be too long before Villaret is up and running into the 20th position overall. See that Haase, who is that, the number 37 car just around it, the was it that first chicane on the Mulsanne? That's Ryan Mousing. He's had a bit of a spin on the exit there, so an unfortunate mistake for him, but see that Nermala has potentially lost that second position from Haase. But yeah, Nunez currently leading in the GTEs at the moment. Not sure whether he's taken his pit stop yet. You won't be able to fill me in just quickly on that, Dan, but if Nunez hasn't taken the pits, he'll lose quite a lot of positions from where he is right now.
Timing's reporting he has come in. He had a 14-second stationary and about a 48-second transit time. Sorry, down the lane. So that's a legitimate first place over Sven Haase, who was not that long ago was leading this race before we had those issues.
Okay, so yeah, so Nunez having a stonking race at this time. So currently got a 5-second gap over Haase. So we can bring that up on the screen right now. So yeah, the closest gap we've got in the field at the moment is that overtake that we had on screen just before with Villaret and Day. But yeah, the closest battle we have for position in the same class is Lepente and McCarthy in 11th and 12th, plus 13th and 14th outright. So just trying to go on board Lepente at the moment, just to see what it looks like from his perspective.
Yeah, with the transition from the dusk to night here now, it will start making it a lot more difficult for these drivers to find their apexes and braking points, similar to what we've seen earlier on in the season. We had another night transition earlier on, and that certainly shook up the field a bit.
Yeah, I think that would have been the first round of the championship at Monza, which was certainly interesting to say the least, with the night and day transition, as Lepente going past McCarthy, so a good move up into Indianapolis. And he will take the 13th place outright. just outside the top 10. Got another 4 seconds to Alex Court in his Ferrari. So Alex last time around went a 4-minute 25.8. That would have been his outlap from the pit lane, I suspect. 3/10 slower was Lapente.
Yeah, definitely. With the outlaps there being quite a lot longer, but the guys will settle back into rhythm pretty quickly, and fuel loading at this point of the race will certainly be a lot lower than what we saw earlier on. We were seeing towards the back end of these stints a lot of drivers really being able to pick up their pace from what we'd seen at the start there, and quickest times that we've seen so far out there tonight, Blake Neck to it around here in the DPI at a 3:39.18, so that was a blistering lap in the Corvette there. Our quickest GT3, just for reference, was a 3:44, and that was Van Hasse going around on that. And then comparative with the GT3s, quickest time there was a 3:51. So quite a big speed difference between all three cars out there tonight, and just to see how the guys get around in each lot of different machinery, quite interesting. Blake got himself a little bit of traffic just ahead, which he'll probably negotiate on the exit of Arnage, I dare say, so he'll be able to get past there, and he's got a lot of clear track ahead of him. Actually, spoke too soon. He's got a couple of cars, just in front, but other than that, most of this field now finds themselves very, very spaced out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to have a look at on our timing screens. Haase has closed up 4/10 of a second to Nunez. We've got just under 7 minutes to go. Sorry, 8 minutes to go from where we are right now. Last one lap, so say 2 to 3 laps from where we are. Right now is Blake putting in the lap on the 10th position, so it's Rysted. Attention, no, that's sorry about that. Trying to find out who that is. That is in that way with Sagalenti. So my mistake there.
Yeah, just you get a really good shot then when we're watching Blake go through the Porsche curves, just how much more grip that DPI does tend to have over the GT3s through there. He was able to go through quite a lot quicker. Obviously was helped out a little bit with the pass, and the drivers going a little bit wide to let him through, but yeah, the grip potential in those DPIs very, very good around this.
Just got to go for a quick on board just to show you what the type of prototype is doing around this track. Yeah, it's actually quite surprising that it's only a little bit of a lift through Tetra Rouge, passing one of the Century Batteries cars. I think he is Adam Simpson, if I'm not mistaken. No, that is Sagalenti.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch how Blake got through a couple of those corners there, I should say, with that little bit of a lift. And I was listening just to his throttle through the mid-corner. It gives it a little bit of acceleration just to help it turn in, and then flows it through, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, certainly. With looking back at Nunez now, and that gap has opened up a little bit to 5.5 seconds at this time. But in saying that, though, Haase was about 0.3 of a second quicker last time around. So the two GTE leaders are the only ones sub for 347. Everyone else is pretty much 348s or slower, with normally in the 348s, and also Dominic Faber as well.
Yeah, and a little bit of what we do need to keep an eye on closely as well is the battle for third and fourth outrighting, or third and fourth in class for the GT3s with Morton and Nimarella, those guys just had a change of position just a little while ago, and this battle probably the closest, if not on field at the moment, only 0.4 of a second separate.
Yeah, I see that Morton's had a pretty solid second stint, or it would have been up until the end of the first stint. See that here he got a couple of slowdown penalties on the first couple of laps starting this race. It meant that he fell back all the way to P number 7 in class. But it's good to see him back up into the provisional podium positions at this time. But
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, it's been a really strong drive there too from Philip after he had those earlier off tracks as you mentioned there. So he's come along very well and had a good pit stop too, which really helped his times out as well.
See Nermler all over the back of Morton at this time, flipping the outside cone there on the entry to Mulsanne, utilising all of that exit curb on the last part of Mulsanne. See whether Numala can get up the inside, or we'll have to try and go around the outside. Said that Morton's defending quite well, taking the shortest line possible. Numala going up under the grass, and yeah, leaving those no cars width, and just have to go into Indianapolis in third and fourth position as they are, but yeah, I don't think that Nomula will have the opportunity to get up the inside. Even though it might look like quite a long run, you've still got to be very, very quick to get up the inside, or be deep under brakes, and it'll be very, very tricky to get up the inside there, as Nomula demonstrates, having to sit back into the fourth position.
Yeah, and Phil doing a really good job with just placing the car just in enough of a position to stop that run from Numala there. I thought he might have been able to get a good run through here, and he's dropped off quite a little bit after that entrance into the Porsche curve. So coming up through the final chicane, another great passing opportunity, but he'll have to reset and look at where he can potentially get a move done. We see both drivers going and using a little bit of that pit entrance there to help straighten up the turn and accelerate through, and both cars looking to get the chicane there very nicely through to the front straight.
Yes, definitely. You can use the outside bit of the entry to the pit lane, as long as you don't cut too much of it. Otherwise, you'll send the car spinning out very, very quickly, and then you get a slowdown penalty, which will add insult to injury. But, yeah, Morton opening up a nearly a 9/10 of a second gap, so possibly a mistake for Numala in through the Dunlop chicane. But I see that Morton has put in a 3-minute 47.1 last time around. Carried that to Numala with 3-minute 49.4, so not sure whether Numala is having the fuel save at the moment, but with that draft he'll certainly be able to do that with, think about one lap potentially to go.
Yeah, based on looking at where Blake is, he's making his way up to Indianapolis at the moment. I dare say we will see one more lap, which would be great for a lot of these competitors to go out there, but it does beg the question, does Numala have enough in the tank, as far as fuel's concerned, to catch up onto the back of Morton? He has dropped off a little bit, but that gap sitting reasonably steady around the 1.2 second range at the moment.
Yeah, it's gap opened up to just under 10 seconds from Mazomo. So, actually, yeah, the best lap times have been, as you mentioned, about 1.2 seconds slower for Mazomo, but the last time, actually, Mazomo was quicker. So, whether it's Blake taking it easy, managing the gap, or whether he had traffic. But, in saying that, though, it looks as though there's not much around at this time. And we got to just under 30 seconds to go, so it'll be very, very tight to see whether Blake will trigger another lap.
The car's hanging in very nicely through Porsche curves. They're not really washing out too much, which you typically tend to see at the back end of the curves there. He might not actually get across the line in time to trigger one more.
Just wait for the timing screen to show us the checkered flag. So it is the last lap, and Blake Neck takes round number 9 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship here at Circuit de la South. So congratulations to him. As always, a very, very dominant performance. Mazomo crossed in the line to take second overall. What could have been if he had just a little bit more pace to put a little bit of pressure to Blake Neck. But in saying that though, just looking at our GTE leader at the moment, he's coming up into a bit of traffic at this time. Is that one of the Audis ahead of him?
I think that's Lars Rusted down in 26th at the moment, just getting in the way a little bit, trying to stay out and let these guys through, but making a little bit of a meal of it. It's not probably enough for Huss to come back up and take the position, but looks like Nunez was able to clear through that traffic. Did cost him a little.
Yeah, so just running the final Ford chicane. And Rory Nunez putting in a stellar performance and takes round number 9 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship in the GTE field. Hasa was looking very dominant in the first part of the race, but sadly not able to convert it into a win. But Phil Morton recovers stellar performance as well, rounding out in the podium positions for the GTE field. Just looking further back, the closest battle in GTEs at the moment is McCarthy and Court.
And just looking at where these guys are, they're working their way up out of Arnage down towards the Porsche curves at the moment. I don't think there's going to be enough time for McCarthy to get a move done here unless he can get a really good run through the curves and close up under brakes. Doesn't look to quite be there this time by as he gets in the dirt and almost loses the back.
Yeah, clips the outside wall through the middle part of the Porsche curves. I think the only hope that McCarthy has is if Court picks up the slowdown penalty. But it looks as though that he hasn't. So it looks as though that Alex Court will round out the top 10 in the GTE field. Just turning our attentions to the GT3 field at the moment. Jungren in the Mercedes currently leading. See that he's built up an 8.1 second gap to Penttinen. Also that Alan Day putting in a very stellar performance. He sits in the 3rd position in GT3 as well, so he's had a very, very strong day as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and probably a little bit different for him today after last time out at Montreal, where we saw him in the Daytona prototype switching to a Mercedes in the GT3 class.
Yeah, certainly. So Jungren takes the checkered flag for the GT3 field as well, so congratulations to him. Winner of round number 9. I see that Penttinen not too far behind, is only 7.5 seconds behind Alan Day, rounding the final corner as well, so he'll round out the podium for the GT3 field, so congratulations to him as well. Villaray, what could have been, sits in the 15th position. Only one position lost from where he started, but certainly unfortunately he wasn't able to put in a strong performance. And I think the last car that we have on the track as well at the moment is Swankinen. So he will cross the final corner now and take the checkered flag. So he will be the final car to take the checkered flag, and that will be round number 9.
Yeah, so it looks like I had some great racing all out through all the classes. I'm just checking some of the comments in the chat. Looks like Marco Dobrella sustained a little bit of damage on race 2, which impacted him a little bit, and as a result dropped down just out of the podium positions there. But with that done, we'll pull up the race standings and let you know where your favourite drivers come home.
So Blake Neck takes the overall win for round number 9 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship here at Circuit de la South. Simon Mazomo finishes 10.7 seconds behind in the 2nd position. Ronnie Nunez takes the GTE checkered flag and the overall and the class win. Sven Haase in second place, fourth overall, and Phil Morton in the final podium position for GTEs. Marco Nermala, as you mentioned, had a bit of damage on lap number 2, so that kind of hindered his progress. But still great to see that he finished sixth overall, fourth in class. Dominic Faber, seventh. Reese Keane in eighth. Dominic Ferreris in ninth, and rounding out the top 10 overall was James Eagleston. Hayden Benefield with that spin at Tetra Rouge on, I think it was lap number 2 or lap number 3, certainly hindered his progress, finishing 1 minute down from the GTE winner. Alex Court in 12th, Jonathan McCarthy 13th, Jesus Lapuente in 14th, and Hassan rounding out the top 15. Anton Bursbo in 16th. Joachim Jungren in the 17th position overall, but crucially the GT3 class winner. Marco Pentonen in the second position in GT3, and Alain Day rounding out the podium in the GT3 class. Julien Villeray in the 20th position. In the 21st position. Zwankinen in 22nd. Adam Simpson in 23rd. Sal Galenti in 24th. Shane Edgar 25th. Lars Reisted 26th. Jose Flores 27th. Fritz Zalm in the 28th position. Sad to see that he was not able to show his full potential out there. He was leading the opening laps. Must have had a penalty of some kind to finish outside the top 5 in GT3. Brian Mousing, we saw that he had a bit of a spin in the second part of the telecast. So he finishes 29th. Boesma 30th. Rupt 31st. Vodcic in the 32nd position. Lockwood, he was looking very, very strong in the opening part of the race for GTEs, but sadly finishes 6 laps down. I'm pretty sure we're into the retirees right now. So McGill 34th. Lareo in the 35th position. Caden Bin 36th position. Dave Thomas in the 37th position. Melon Wolf, Nikolic, and William Tidwell rounding out the field tonight. I don't think he took the start from that, finishing 11 laps down. So it looks as though that we've got a couple of drivers ready for driver interviews in the GTE. I think we're going to bring up Marco first, and I'll hand it over to you, Daniel.
And the wall.
Yeah, g'day, Marco. Mate, congratulations on the race tonight. Come home fourth. You look like you're having yourself a great little battle at the back end there with Phil Morton. How'd you find the race?
It was good, little practice, and yeah, I had damage on lap 2 or 3, and then that cost me like 1.5 seconds a lap, so that was bad.
Yeah, the car. Well, it's a bit of a shame getting the damage. But the car looks still quite competitive out there, even as a result of that. I think, as you know, it's what was I going to say? Phil getting past towards the back end there. You didn't seem to fall off too far with it, but that little bit of damage, were you finding it was really impeding you much?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like when I turned in the car, it just back end just stepped out every time. It was hard to keep, and also getting back on throttle was just impossible. You need to have a straight car, and then yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly does make it very hard. With the transition tonight from the dusk to night, how did you find that change up?
In VR, it's a little bit difficult. Like it gets way darker than on screen, so and it's hard to find any markers out there. So, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And was there anything you were able to potentially have carried over from the iRacing Le Mans 24 Hours earlier this year, or was this all new to you?
No, I had basically didn't have to do any setup work or anything like that. So just a little bit rusty. So.
No, that's all good, mate. Well, it's certainly a good result, all things considered, with the damage. But is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks to before we let you go?
Yeah, my team Racecraft Esports and Brian had a DC on the race, so that's the client crashed. So yeah, Brian, and yeah, thanks for streaming this.
No, that's all right, mate. Thank you very much for coming out and putting on a good show. We'll certainly look forward to catching you out for the next.
Okay, thanks.
It looks like we've also got Alan Day out in the booth. He come home tonight, fourth in class in the GT3, so we'll bring him in. And Scott, I'll hand that over to you.
Welcome, Alan, to the Apex Racing TV commentary box. Bit unusual to see you in the GT3. So, how was the transition from the Daytona prototype into the GT3 for tonight?
I would say a little bit more at home actually. I actually found out I actually got P3 in the end. I did. Fritz unfortunately had a little bit of an issue on I think it was the second to last lap. I'm not exactly sure what happened to him because I didn't see anything that did happen to him. But I do feel that the race overall was actually pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might have been just where I went back into the replay. Yeah, I see that Zarm had a bit of an issue that cost him to finish in the 11th position. But yeah, so congratulations on your podium position tonight. How was the transition from the dusk till night conditions as well? Was it difficult to spot your braking points, or was it with the sun going down gradually, were you able to still find your braking points just as easily?
For me, it was a matter of actually trying to find out where my braking points were early in the race, and that way it was easier to try and find my braking points when it went dark. I was going through that with my stream. I was early in the race, picking out where my braking points were. Because if you're not finding, I tend to find if you're not trying to find your braking points, and braking markers, before it gets dark, then going into dark, like it was with this race in particular, it can get very difficult, especially because the evening into night transition is quite a big change. It is. So I think this race in particular during this week is going to be quite difficult for drivers that aren't quite as experienced with this type of racing. So I think some drivers that are more skillful in a day to night transition are going to able to catch up to some of them lesser experienced drivers, no matter what pace they are on.
Yeah, so turning to next week, we head to Suzuka. What are your thoughts heading into that track, given the fact that it's quite a departure from the long open natureness of Le Mans into a tight and twisty Grand Prix circuit? But yeah, what are your thoughts heading into next week?
I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to overtake because there isn't going to be as many options to overtake like there is at Circuit de la Sarde. There is some places where you can overtake, like you can do at turns 1 and 2 if you've got enough speed. Coming up to 130R as well, especially if you're the daring type. But other than that, there isn't really too many more places to be able to make overtaking opportunities, particularly in the GT3 class where you don't have as much aerodynamic power, where compared to the GTE cars and the DPs, there might be a little bit more. So you might be able to have a little bit more of open opportunity in the two upper classes.
Yeah, certainly one overtake comes to mind going through 130R was, I think, Fernando Alonso on Schumacher in 2003. So yeah, it just goes to show you how much of a commitment that you need to be able to overtake through there. But yeah, Alan, just before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to before signing off tonight?
I've got my stream still going at the moment, so thank you very much to all of my viewers for hanging around, especially as it is my birthday as well. 10X Racing obviously giving me the immense opportunity to drive with the team. I have in fact changed team during this week. I've now joined E-Team Brit, who's a very, very good successful team, successful business, and also a very successful project which I've always believed is a very, very close to me in particular. So definitely going to be some testing times ahead. But towards a dedicated cause for what we are, towards the project as well, especially. I'm very, very happy to be a part of what is an amazing project that we have got with Team Brit as well and Team Brit in general.
No worries. Thanks very much, Alan, and certainly wish you all the best for the rest of your day, and certainly looking forward to your attendance next week at Suzuka.
Thank you, Scott. See you next week.
That was Alan Day, the third place driver in the GT3, and certainly a great performance from him to see him up in the podium, converting himself from the Daytona prototype back into the GT3. Sadly, we did lose one in the Daytona prototypes, but certainly great to see that Alan having a strong night tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll really relish the change going from the DPI to the GT3, and tonight was a great result. Having only just switched over in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just as we mentioned a little bit before in the interview, that Suzuka up next week, same time next week, 10:45 GMT on the Tuesday. Yeah, what are your thoughts heading into next week, Dan? Given that a bit of a departure from the long open straights that we have here at Le Mans into the tight and twisty section of the track.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you say, Suzuka, pretty much a classic old school sort of Formula One circuit. Certainly a lot of opportunity for some great passing moves to be done. There's a few tricky sections going through the Esters at the start of the opening lap up through towards the hairpin where you can get a good move done. And following that, I mean, if you're good enough up through 130R and can get a nice run down the backstretch, it certainly opens you up for a move through that final chicane as well. So I think the guys will probably have a little bit of a different philosophy reset based on the track change to what we've seen here tonight, with Le Mans being, say, such an open flowing circuit to something a little bit more technical, similar to what we saw last week out at Road America. But I don't think they'll find the change that difficult. Again, we say it most weeks, we'd like to see the DPI field increase a little bit more, and it's sad that we lost Alan in the DPI, but great, we've still had him retained, but in a different category. So certainly looking forward to that. But really looking to see how the guys go moving forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So just before we close up tonight, I wanted to apologise for the technical issues that I had tonight. It's always one of those things that happens at the wrong moment, but had a couple of half-second power outages that hard reset the computer both times. So thankfully, third time lucky, I was able to bring the rest of the broadcast for the 10:45 GMT split of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. We'll certainly be back next week at the same time and the same place on YouTube, Twitch, and on Facebook as well. So certainly subscribe to those platforms to be notified of our upcoming broadcasts. Just while I'm bringing up the list for our upcoming broadcasts as well, which we have the iRacing VRS GT coming up at 18 GMT tonight. That will be at Barber Motorsports Park for round number 9 of the championship. That will be followed up by round number 21 of the BSR MX5 Pro Series at Circuit Park Zolder. That'll be one of those entertaining races as always. And then on the Thursday, we have the BSR TC Pro Series in the Kias for the first round of the showdown. So the main series is over, so we're pretty much getting to the conclusion of the championship. That will be at Phillip Island. That will be at 19:10 GMT. Then on the Friday, we have the iRacing Le Mans Series. That will be at Sebring for round number 9 of the championship. That will be at the 1900 GMT split. On Saturday, we've got the Simracers Asia Formula Series for round number 8 of the championship. That will be at Road Atlanta. The telecast will be starting at 13 GMT, 2100 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and 2300 Australian Eastern Standard Time. I think yourself, Daniel, and I will be in the commentary box for that one, so just be certain to tune in for that one. Then later on the Saturday night, we have the Euro V8 Supercar Championship for round number 3 at Daytona International Speedway. Coverage for that will be at 1800 GMT. And then on Sunday, we have the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Development Series for round number 9 of the championship. That'll be at Sebring. That'll be at 10:45 GMT on the Sunday. Then on Monday night, we have the World GT Championship for round number 4 at Zolder. That'll be at 19:15 GMT. That'll be on the iRacing Esports Network, if I'm not mistaken. Then later that night, in US time zones and early morning European time, we'll be heading to Sebring for the Ritma Sportscar Championship for round number 10. That'll be coverage will be starting for that at 12:15 a.m. GMT on the Tuesday morning, and then we'll be back for the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. As always, same time, 10:45 GMT on the Tuesday.
Yeah, certainly plenty of coverage coming up over the following week, and certainly very much looking forward to a couple of those series itself. We've got the SRA race on the Sunday, and then backing it up again with the mixed and fixed. And I think we say it week in, week out. There's plenty of good action out there for whatever your taste is in motorsport, be it the open wheelers, the V8s, the GTs. So be sure to tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that will pretty much conclude the broadcast for the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. Certain to tune in to one of the broadcasts I just mentioned, but we certainly hope that you have a safe week, and we look forward to your company next week as always. So as always, thanks Dan for being in the commentary box tonight. Certainly looking forward to your company next week.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So I'm looking forward to it again next week, and certainly look forward to catching all the viewers for a upcoming broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, pretty much echo that sentiment. So yeah, thanks very much everyone for tuning in, and we will certainly look forward to your company in an upcoming broadcast. Take care.